70, part 3, we continue the theme of one movement with 15 benefits. So the first benefit was understanding that if the posture is good, the shoulder rotation gives us swing plane. Now you hear a lot of commentary, particularly on television with Sky and some BBC commentary. Sky are very good at doing the slow motion analysis with Tim Barter and Dennis Pugh and Simon Holmes. They'll show you the swings in great detail, and one of the key words that you'll hear in their analysis, particularly of golfers like Adam Scott or John Rahm, from the new hot kid from Spain. These are big athletic men, and we talk about having a wide arc. So if I'm a smaller man with smaller arms, I have quite a small wheel. My arc is naturally not very wide. But when you see Adam Scott, he's like an albatross. He's got these wonderful long levers and a tall body, so he is born with width of arc, simply because of the way his body is put together. He's a tall unit, 6'3", long arms and slim. And that is the shape of the modern golfer. There aren't too many Ian Woosnams and Tony Jacklins left. The majority of the players on tour are pretty big. Henrik Stenson, Nick Faldo was a good case in point, although he wasn't a big hitter. All right, so we've understood plane, but width of arc is a consequence of your physical proportions, but also your technique. So if I turn sideways to you, I can show you like a wrist hinge. That is a movement. It gives me some arc. If I go for my elbow, that would be a slightly wider arc. If I go for my left shoulder socket, it would be wider still. But when the shoulders coil, that is the widest arc there is. So you can't be wider than wide. If you try too hard to go back wide, you'll go outside the line, and you'll have a straight line followed by another straight line, and you'll end up with a swing path like a 50p piece. You don't want that. You want a fairly circular or even elliptical arc. But if you go for width unnecessarily, you'll overdo it. So let me show you with the 6-iron what I mean. My shoulders are giving me the plane of my swing, but the shoulder gives me the widest arc. Okay? So the wrist hinge would be narrow. If my left arm bent, it would be narrow, but there's more width there. Then I turn the shoulder socket, but you can see that if I turn the shoulders, the arc has widened. Okay? But you can't be wider than wide. If the shoulders coil, if the left shoulder goes to the throat. So here we go, I'll do this little half a shot, width of arc, turn the shoulder, and send the ball away. So that was a little half swing for you. I didn't take a divot, there's no need to. Why didn't I take a divot? Well, if you've got a wide arc, you've got a shallow angle of attack. So a wedge, which naturally is a shorter club and therefore a narrow arc, tends to have a descending blow. So I'm not surprised if you get a divot with your Sandown, your wedge, your 9-iron and your 8. But by the time you get to 7-iron, 6-iron and so on, because the arc is widening, guess what? You're just grazing the grass, you're not taking a divot. So then of course you progress to your rescue clubs, your fairway woods and your driver. They're the longest club in the bag. They have the widest arc. So therefore you wouldn't expect to have a divot, and that's why you buy T-pegs for your woods, to give you access to the bottom of the ball. So the last thing you want is a ball teed up in a narrow downward arc. What you want when the ball's on a T-peg is you need width of arc. I'll just try and demonstrate that to you with my driver. So, teeing the ball up, offering the club, I'm just going to give you a shoulder turn that has width. I'm not going to go for a full swing, I'm just going to show you what a wide takeaway looks like. Okay, the shoulders, the arms and the club, off we go, we turn. I've drilled the ball about 200 yards. And Simon, if you can just pan down, you can see that my T-peg was in the floor. All right, so there was no divot taken. I must have made a nice shallow angle of attack. So, because the club was long, 44 inches in the case of a driver, allied to a good shoulder turn, then I had a lovely wide arc. Now, a wide arc has benefits. It's more accurate and it's more powerful. If you imagine me driving this club along the ground like a post, you can see that a downward blow would be poor, as would an upward or an out or outward glancing. But when you have a wide arc, because your shoulders turn, your angle of attack is shallow and everything is directed down the line of the post. You can see it. You don't want something narrow up here that chops downwards. So listen to the club maker. He's giving you a 44-inch driver length shaft. If you allow that to a good shoulder turn, you have width of arc for free. Can I just reiterate, do not see width of arc as straight back from the ball. It's not. It describes an arc to the inside. When you go with a wedge, it's fairly direct arc. But when you go to a driver, the longer club, the arc flattens and comes to the inside. The good news for you is you don't have to worry about the difference. If the shoulder turn is good and you're sympathetic to the club you're using, the width of your arc is taken care of.